Ho, 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 and Merry Christmas. Bringing you week 16 of NFL game picks. And don't mind that blue flash. It's just a setup I have. But yes, week 16 of the NFL season. There's a ton of games, especially around the holidays, which is awesome to hear. And then on top of that is just the holiday spirit. I mean, it's awesome. And explains the whole get up, little lights, little Santa hat. Even got Santa on my shirt, if you can see it. There we go. So that's all fine and dandy. But yeah, there's a lot to talk about when it comes to week 16. So why not? Let's get into it. But first, I want to get into the leaderboard and show you guys what's up there. So let me click on that. Okay. All right. So it cuts it off here at the top row, but it's saying week by week. So this is how our records have been throughout the season. DJ still remains on top. He's 148, 70, and 76. After him is Matt, 144 and 80. Steve is tied with him. I'm just 2 games behind, 142 and 82. Then we have Chris, 137 and 87, tied with Eddie as well. So it's coming down to the wire. The top 4 are really separating themselves from Chris and Eddie, which is unfortunate for them. But let's get into the picks. So, big games. All right, first game. We have the San Francisco 49ers versus the Tennessee Titans. Now, Tennessee may be 9-5, but the San Francisco 49ers have been on quite a roll, and they've been really consistent as of late and winning a lot of games. So, by the surprise of no one, I am going with the San Francisco 49ers, very much like everyone else. I think Chris has yet to put in his pick yet, so we'll see what happens there for him. But that's who everyone else is picking there. I'm picking the San Francisco 49ers. And then we move to the first game of Christmas, which love me some Christmas sports. Usually it's just basketball, but this year, the way the schedule is, it will be on NFL as well. Next year, definitely have a Christmas game because it will be on a Sunday. But yeah, first game on Christmas, we have the Green Bay Packers hosting the Cleveland Browns. This is a tough one. Cleveland has been decent, but they did not look good. But you can't blame them when they played a game with little to no starters. And Green Bay has pretty much already locked up the NFC North at least. And they also are still competing for that number 1 seed. I don't see the Green Bay losing this one, and it does help the Miami Dolphins, which I love as always, which is always good. If I can get this mouse to work, I don't even know what it's over. Yeah, if Green Bay wins, that helps the Dolphins very much because that already eliminates a team that is in the Dolphins' way essentially, and you can see it right there. Pretty much everyone is going with the Green Bay Packers. Next, we have the Arizona Cardinals hosting the Indianapolis Colts, the second game of Christmas. And this is a pretty tough one. Indy's is quite hot right now. Arizona is actually looking pretty bad. I mean, they lost to the worst team in the NFL. They lost to the Detroit Lions, which was not good at all. But we're going to have to go with Indianapolis here. I think they are the hotter team at the moment. And I have more faith picking them over the Arizona Cardinals this week, which is quite shocking. Let's see. I'm going to have to do it manually here. See who's picking. Everyone's going clean sweep for the Indianapolis Colts. Cannot blame you guys. Next, we have the Baltimore Ravens at the Cincinnati Bengals. Baltimore, without Lamar Jackson in the lineup, it's really tough for me to want to go and say Baltimore. That's what's happening for them for the past couple of weeks. But the quarterback, Brett Hundley, who's filling in for him, is doing pretty good. He put him in position to possibly win against Green Bay. Had they converted that second, the 2-point conversion, who knows? Maybe we're talking about Baltimore beating Green Bay and they don't secure the NFC North. But on the other hand, Baltimore did not convert on that. And they're facing a team that is fighting them for the division right now, who is winning the division because they have the head-to-head win against Baltimore. It's tough. This is a very type of circumstantial type of game for me. Now, if we have Baltimore with Lamar Jackson, I'm taking Baltimore. But for the time being, I'll take Cincinnati just for the mere fact that I think without Lamar Jackson, the Bengals are a better team. But with Lamar Jackson, you're going to wholeheartedly bet that I am going to pick the Baltimore Ravens. But for the time being, we're going to go with Cincinnati. Okay. Clicking on the wrong thing. Cincinnati. Let's see. Opponent picks. DJ is going with the Ravens. I'm not surprised with that. But Matt and Steve and Eddie are going with the Bengals. Now we move up to more Sunday games. We have the Buffalo Bills versus the New England Patriots. This is huge for the division. The teams are separated by one game. Buffalo can tie for first right now if they defeat New England, which would be interesting. If New England can slide, best odds for the Dolphins. As you know, I'm a big Dolphins fan, if you can't tell behind me. But it's going to be interesting moving forward who ends up winning this division. I don't think the Dolphins have a decent shot of winning it. They just need pretty much everything to go their way. But aside from that, a Buffalo Bills win helps the Dolphins' odds tremendously. Just because the Buffalo Bills have the head-to-head tiebreaker against the Dolphins. So let's say the Dolphins come down the line and they need to have more wins than the Buffalo Bills at the end of the year for a playoff spot, then the Dolphins are severely screwed because they lost 2 games to the Buffalo Bills this year. But New England's looking really good, and so is Buffalo. Buffalo, I think they came off a win last week, so it's anyone's game. Now, this is one of those games I'm going to look towards for the guys to pretty much answer it for me. And it's pretty much split. Eddie's been riding the Buffalo train this year, but we have DJ and Matt who are going with the Patriots. This is a tough one. I mean, you can't go wrong with either one. I think both teams have a decent odd of winning the game. But I want to say that Buffalo is going to lose because this is in New England. And it's really hard for teams to win on the road at Foxborough. Dolphins have done it quite recently, twice in the past 3 years. So things can happen, you know. But I don't think Buffalo has it in them to defeat the Patriots at home with a bunch of fans late in the season. You know, division's on the line. I think the Patriots do end up winning this game, which could come to shock a lot of people. Detroit versus Atlanta. Detroit beat the best team, one of the best teams in the NFL, in the Arizona Cardinals, to improve to 2-11-1. And then you also have the Atlanta Falcons, who, at this point in the year, borderline decent team. I would say they're mediocre at best. I'm going to have to go with Atlanta just because they're the better team on paper. But Detroit has a bunch of potential, so who knows. Next game, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars versus the New York Jets. I'll take the Jets here. I think the Jets are a way better team than the Jacksonville Jaguars. They just fired Urban Meyer, I think, before this past week. Before this past week's games happened. Either way, like Jacksonville is just not in the perfect position to be in a spot where they can beat this Jets team. But who knows? I mean, both teams are, 2-12 and 3-11 for a reason. But let's move on to the next game. We have the Los Angeles Rams at the Minnesota Vikings. LA is pretty good, one of the top tier teams in the league, and they've been having a good season. They hit a rough patch, but I think they're finally over it and they're back to winning games. So I think LA cruises by Minnesota, but I think Minnesota gives them a decent fight. I never checked the last 2 games who's picking. Matt and DJ are surprisingly going Lions for the Atlanta one. Split decision again. Jets, DJ, Eddie, and then Matt for the Jets again. This game, LA, Matt is a big Vikings fan. Matt is always going to pick the Vikings for random reasons. I think he's just a Kirk Cousins believer. But I don't think they have what it takes to defeat this Los Angeles Rams team. But the other LA team, the Los Angeles Chargers, are 8-6 facing the 3-11 Houston Texans. You can basically book it for the Los Angeles Chargers to get the win. Let's see who's picking that. Yep, Chargers so far across the board. Next, we have the New York Giants at the Philadelphia Eagles. Giants just having a rough season. I think they have a lot of potential, but they are missing a lot of their players. On the other hand, you have the Philadelphia Eagles, who got a surprising win against the Washington football team on Tuesday. So I'm going to go with Philadelphia. I think they're just better. Plus, they get the payback when the Giants beat them about 2 to 3 weeks ago in New York. All right. I think I would be shocked if anyone else does not go Philadelphia. Yep, there we go. Next, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Carolina Panthers. I mean, this is what I'm talking about. These games, when you have a high superior team, double the amount of wins that a certain team has when they're facing each other, 10-4 to 5-9. More than likely, this Tampa Bay Buccaneers team is for sure going to beat the Carolina Panthers, but they do have some fight in them. I think they just have been unlucky in most of these games, but look at that. All across the board, we're going Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I don't blame my guys. Next, we have the Chicago Bears at the Seattle Seahawks. This is one of those type of games that, it could be anyone's game. It's tough. Seattle has had a rough season, and you can contribute it to injuries. You can contribute it to, lack of production, things that so-and-so was supposed to play better this season, and then they're not. Those are some things that could be concerned for the Seattle Seahawks. Meanwhile, you have the Chicago Bears, who have underperformed. They have a pretty decent team, and they're obviously going through this whole quarterback situation, and now they have a rookie quarterback at the helm. So it leaves a lot of concern for the team. But plus, Russell Wilson was rumored to be traded to Seattle. So, I mean, there's just a lot of questions there. This one, I'm going to have to leave it up to the guys to help sway me. And Seattle across the board, this is one of those that you go against the grain and go with Chicago, just for the mere fact that it could help me make up ground, but it could also hurt me. So we'll see what happens. Next, we have the Denver Broncos at the Las Vegas Raiders. Both teams are 7-7, still fighting for a playoff spot. I would love to see the Raiders lose as a Dolphins fan, but the possibility of that happening is very unlikely, especially with Teddy Bridgewater, who suffered, I believe, a concussion. They had to cart him off the field, take off his face mask, weren't able to take off his helmet. So that's never any good news. And first and foremost, let's talk about how many concussions there were in the league in this past week. It seemed like almost every game I was looking at, guys were going out with concussions, which is very sad to see. It's very unfortunate when you see players get hurt like that. But man, it's just it's a very scary sight, especially in a game as dangerous as football, and where it's very common to happen. But either way, I don't think Denver can do it without Teddy Bridgewater. If Teddy Bridgewater is able to play, I like the Denver Broncos odds. I would love for nothing more than them to beat the Las Vegas Raiders, but this Raiders team has a better squad than this Broncos team. So if Teddy Bridgewater plays, I'm going with the Broncos, but more than likely Las Vegas wins this. So it's unfortunate for the Finns, but it is what it is. Next, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Kansas City Chiefs. I never showed the picks. I think it might be the split here, yeah. So me and DJ are both going Raiders. Matt and Eddie are going Broncos. I would love for the Broncos to win. If Teddy's playing, I'll switch it to the Broncos. Otherwise, I'm not switching it. Next, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs are on top of their division, and then the Steelers are just fighting to stay alive in the playoff race. And, that draw does help them out because they could possibly be 7-7 or at least 8-6. So who knows? The Steelers team had a chance to win it in Minnesota. They were so close. They were really competing. They've been in a lot of close games. Kansas City is hitting their stride, though. They're finding their way and becoming the team that, they thought they were going to be the entire time. So I got to go with Kansas City. They're just the better team here. And let's see. DJ, Eddie, Matt. Then we have Sunday Night Football. And we have the Dallas Cowboys hosting the Washington football team, who copied Dallas's idea of sending their own benches to an away game, which I I find it kind of cringe, but it's also like a rivalry thing. But I mean, if you're copying what the people did at your place, like that's a little bit much. And I think a lot of the NFC East has been very like, salty with the Cowboys because, Cowboys are always, talked about the most, speculated to be, good every year. And for the most part, they always come up short. But as of late this season, they're doing really good. They're 10-4. Washington 6-8 after losing that tough game against Philadelphia, which they had the lead in pretty much at halftime. And then after that, it was just all Philadelphia Eagles. I don't think Washington has it to beat the Dallas Cowboys this week. So that's what it is. But, you can never be surprised with these divisional games. DJ's going Washington. Everyone else is going Cowboys. And then the game of the week, my boy DJ. I already know who you're picking. We have the Miami Dolphins at the New Orleans Saints. Monday Night Football. And that's where you'll hear Chris and DJ going, bum, 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 bum. The FOMO, the missing of what's happening, dude. Oh my God, I'm in my feels. But having Miami Dolphins at the New Orleans Saints, I would love nothing more to go to this game with DJ, but unfortunately we can't. Bunch of holidays-related stuff, but it's a good game. Aside from the fact that now the Saints are going to be without every quarterback. No Jameis Winston, he's out for the year. Then you have Taysom Hill, who I believe got injured, and then you have Trevor Siemian, who has COVID. So now the next quarterback in line to start for the New Orleans Saints this season will be Ian Book, the former quarterback for Notre Dame, who was drafted this previous season. And the Dolphins are riding hot, 6 straight. Haven't lost since going 1-7. So, I mean, it's just very interesting, very tough. Both teams are at 7-7. Now, in the playoff race, the Saints are still in fighting distance of making the wild card. Right now, the Dolphins are in the hunt. So, it's definitely interesting to see what's going to happen down the line for both of these teams. But for my sake, I would love nothing more than to see this Miami Dolphins team win, especially on national TV. But you can never discount anything in the dome. Crazy things happen there. And like I said it, DJ was the only one who picked the Saints, and I'm not shocked by it because that's his favorite team going against my favorite team. Of course he's going to pick his favorite team. But nonetheless, Eddie and Matt are staying loyal to the home team, picking the Dolphins. But that pretty much wraps up this week's game picks. Let me know what you guys think. And unfortunately, we didn't have DJ or Chris in today's video. Tried getting Matt on board. He was busy. Come on, Matt. You're being Hollywood, bro. You're being Hollywood, okay? But that's pretty much wraps up our Week 16 game picks. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And next week will be the New Year's one. And I'm going to try to have the guys on it virtually, but we'll see what we can do. And really appreciate you guys for watching up to this point. And come back next week for next week's game picks. And come back around the weekend for my Miami Dolphins game preview and post-game review. Thanks for watching. Peace.